Welcome to Stress and Purpose in Life podcast. Thank you also, Samantha Jane, for being here. Great to have you on this show. We're going to be inspired by you today about your journey from transformation, from being paralyzed, right? Almost. Yeah. You're going to tell a story about that, and also how you made get to be a specialist in habits of happiness, right?
Yeah.
You, as you said, literally got paralyzed by stress, right? And transform your life completely after experiences, the experience that you had, right? And you dedicate your life to helping others to break free from limiting patterns and building habits to foster lasting joy.
Yeah.
So your insights is really valuable for us, I think, on this podcast. It's really good because happiness and stress goes hand in hand, right? So warm welcome to you, Samantha.
Hi, thank you. On the podcast, I'm excited to be here and share my journey. My name's Sam, and I am the founder of the Habits of Happiness Limited, and also a wellbeing coach and a mentor. And my journey began when I was faced with burnout. Well, I was actually running another business, and I was raising a young family. And after experiencing stress, induced paralyzation, that's what we called it. That is where I kind of turned my life around, and I decided to heal myself, as I would say, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And in the process of doing that, that's how I actually developed the Habits of Happiness. And today, it's my passion and purpose. And I help other people build these positive mental habits. I call them the daily hygiene habits for your mental and emotional health. So, yes.
Yeah. Perfect. And that, I think you told you had experience of burnout, right? And you almost hit rock bottom then, and then most people reflect on your life there, and then you realize, okay, now I'm the bottom, I can only go up. And then it's great that you made your passion your purpose, right? So if we go back to the warning signs that led you to this experience, and also where were you, and what did you feel in that moment when you realized that it was something that you had to do about it, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you were in your journey. So can you just explain that?
So I didn't really realize that I was having any stress in my life. It kind of became normal. And so I look back now, because hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I had lots and lots of subtle signs of not being able to sleep, digestive problems, pain, that I kind of just became that busy with life, having a young family and a successful business. So when I did wake up that morning, it was a complete and utter shock that my whole left side of my body was completely paralysed. Do you know, like when I'm trying to move my arm and my leg, it was like an out-of-body experience, really, because I was willing it to move, and it just would not move at all. And it was strange because I was in the house with my then young boys, and they were only 6 and I think 9 or something. I knew I had to kind of be strong for them, but in the same time, I was absolutely distraught, like with what was happening to me. And I didn't really know what it was, because I didn't know if it was a stroke that I'd had or anything like that. So, yeah, it was complete fear of being completely out of control.
Yeah.
How I would feel, the experience of actually having it, having that paralysation, and not really having any idea of what was happening to me.
And during what period of time was it? Was it like how that feeling that you had? did it last for long? Or I mean, getting paralyzed is quite physically something that the body says, okay, stop now. Now you have really gone over the limit. And how long was that paralyzation?
Oh, so so what happened after that was I ended up having to get my sons, had to bring myself together, shake myself together, and ask, because my husband wasn't in the house, I was the only adult in. But luckily, my neighbour, my sons were really good friends with her son, and so he went across and got her. She phoned an ambulance, and then I was taken to hospital, and they did, I don't know, I felt like 1,000 tests that were there, brain scans, CT scans, bloods, everything that was there. And I was in the emergency and what we call the emergency ward for about 3 days, and then they put me into neurology for 3 weeks to check and see, because it was slowly coming back, but it was like as if it was completely dead. Like my arm was like, I could move it, but only if I moved it itself. And it started to come back, it was like tingling and slowly, but it was as if I had to will it to move. So when they took me to the doctor, to go back, when they took me to the A&E, they could tell straight away that it wasn't a stroke. There was a small abnormality in my brain, but they didn't think that was associated with it at all at the time. I think they were checking more for any other neurological or disease, or there's lots of different things now I know that can cause paralysation.
But it must be quite scary period in your life if you have 2 kids to take care of and you don't know what's going on, right? So was it a specific? How did you feel around your life at that point? What was did you have some identity crisis or control crisis? I mean, what did you feel like? Well, where I'm going now in my life, right? You had a successful career and you had your life and your family and everything around. What were your emotions then? I know I heard fear, but how did you feel about your life at that point?
So at the time, prior to the paralysation, I think I was existing. I didn't. Now this was 15 years ago, so stress wasn't as well talked about. It was something that was the norm. So the fact that you were busy all the time, your brain was busy, the fact that you just had to get on with things was the norm. The fact that I was working every weekend because I was a makeup artist and I had a training school, and I did bespoke weddings all over Scotland and small films, etc. And I had a team. I did that at the weekend, and then I had a training school during the week, and then I did a mum job. So Monday to Friday, it was getting the kids up, going to all their activities, taking them there, and then at the weekend, trying to fit in when I finished the wedding at 2:00 to get fit in family time. Now, when I say it out loud, it's no wonder I was stressed.
I think we talked about reflection on this podcast as well. I think reflection, where it's time for reflection, and
honestly, at the time, and I speak to so many other people who are going through stress. I mean, I resonate more with women because I am a woman, and it's kind of those juggling and that feeling of guilt as well around working, being a mum, being a wife, and having to do all of that. And then also what contributes to, I was really being part of someone's most special day as well, and organising like maybe 5 weddings at a time, coordinating them. I was maybe doing 2 and coordinating another 5 of somebody's most important days. So on reflection, I think my nervous system, and I know a lot about it now, but I had no clue what my nervous system was showing me. I was so disconnected from my body. Like, it was a pain to like if I couldn't work. So if I had like pain in my body, or if I had pain in my stomach, like irritable bowel, if I couldn't sleep, all of that was just a pain to me. Like it was just, I didn't have time for it. I didn't have time for it.
I think many people resonate with that, that feeling, and then you go on and keep on going, then to the point that you just break yourself. Because many people have it in your head. Did you also have everything in your head? The body is connected to the head, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100.
So how did you what is your mental habits today, and exercises to stay on top of yourself and feel relaxed
Yeah. So my journey took me from being in the hospital, and then eventually getting, it's called psychosomatic, and that is basically stress. That is the body's way of physically showing you that something's wrong, and they diagnosed me with that, or they had said, along with a few other things like fibromyalgia and different things like that. And so I didn't have any tools at that point. I didn't really know anything, so they gave me kind of what they call nerve drugs and different things. The only way that I knew how to work was to push through. So I got my physical health back, but then it would be like a roller coaster, so I would get it back, and then I would crash because I didn't know where the root cause was coming from. I didn't really, I was trying to put a plaster on something, and the only way that I knew how to do that was to push through, being exhausted. And I didn't realize that my mental health was contributing, because I didn't have this awareness or understanding of the mind-body connection, and how what we think and what we say to ourselves has a physiological effect on your body.
Yeah,
and so I was going in cycles and cycles and cycles of.
But did you have negative thoughts? Is that it?
All the time. I was so horrible to myself. So
having that self-love and saying something nice to yourself, as you would say to the best friend, that is something that we have to remind ourselves every day about, right? Because you're the most important person in your life. So
it's one of the things that's actually saved me now. But back then, I was I wouldn't even speak to my worst enemy the way that I spoke to myself then. I thought that I was no good. I thought that I should. The word "should" was just constantly in there. I felt like a failure, because eventually I had to give up everything, because with them saying it was stress, I thought, right, okay, I'll take the biggest stress, which I thought was my work. So I'll take that out of the equation. But actually, that was my passion and my purpose. I loved being able to help other, even though it was weddings, but just being part and being a trainer, it was part of my identity. So I didn't realize that actually that spiraled me down to the point on actually feeling as if I was so worthless. So I was in pain physically, mentally, emotionally. I remember feeling that point where actually, what is the point of me even being here? What is the point? I don't contribute. And the words and the language that I was saying to myself around just not even contributing. I felt like I wasn't a wife, I wasn't a mother, I definitely wasn't contributing to society. And these cycles were going further and further, and not realizing that was actually creating more pain physically, mentally, because we have this holistic triad with ourselves, our mind, our body, create our well-being. So that's why I've created the Habits of Happiness.
But then I think in your case, many people believe. I mean, you have your family, you have your work. Perhaps many people train a lot also, and then you get exhausted mentally and also physically, and then you think, those are the causes. Of me getting stressed out. But you're telling something else here, right? We're talking about the feelings and emotions that you give yourself about the situations you are in, right?
Yeah.
That is the cause of stress.
That's it. That's the other thing is stress comes in different ways. So we've got external stressors, but we've got internal stressors. And lots of us build up this tolerance, internal stressors and external, and they don't build the resilience. So the difference in resilience is that we allow the emotions to go through us. Whereas we build up a tolerance towards it, then that means that eventually it's like, nearly, if you're getting kind of all these, well, the analogies like these pillows on top of you, like, so one little thing is okay, and then you get another one until you're absolutely smothered. And that's the stress that we can have within ourselves and outside. And then there's a breaking point for us. And for me, it was the first kind of knowing was a combination. It was like, I think analogy I'd said like 1,000 paper cuts. So you can have one paper cut and then it's okay. You can get plaster on it. But if every time you don't go to the root and you don't figure out how you can manage that or clear it out, it eventually becomes septic and poison. And I think that I kept on ignoring the small signs, and I didn't have the tools. I just didn't. So, like, I didn't have the tools to be able to manage the stress. I managed them with avoidance. I managed them with dissociation. I didn't know any other way because I hadn't been brought up that way. But obviously, I've learnt them now, and it was really strange because the reason that I kind of learnt them, it was I had that point, the lowest point was probably when I really thought, what's the point? And I was so close of taking my own life. And then my boys came in and gave me a cuddle. And I remember thinking to myself, I wasn't put on this earth. I don't think anybody was put on this earth to live like, there must be another way. There must be another, like, there has to be, to
That's
live
your
like
wake-up call, right? At that point, when your kids saw you there and you were having suicidal thoughts. I mean, is that a wake-up call for you? And that was like, okay, now I have to choose.
Yeah, because I just thought, I can't keep doing this because I'd got myself physically well and I'd actually done Ben Nevis, but then my mental health was still going in these cycles and I wasn't working, I still couldn't do things and it felt like all these cycles. But then eventually, it was my boys and just, I don't know, this small voice, tiny wee voice that I'd always, I kind of heard but ignored around, there has to be something more than that. And then my determination, sometimes that's what I think I directed it in the wrong way.
Most people can relate to that, I think. You put energy on the wrong stuff and then you think, what is important? What makes me feel good?
Yes.
Is this life making me feel good? No, it's not. I'm really not feeling good in this situation, right? Many people feel like that, but then they anyway go on living that way.
Yeah,
I know. So you get a turning point somewhere in your life, but
So that was really it, and it was quite strange because it was, and I do say it's spiritual, and I am very spiritual now, but I wasn't then. But it was like I'd asked for help, and I am spiritual or religious or anything back then. I'm very spiritual now, and I'm very much around bridging this gap between Eastern and Western philosophy and science and spirituality. But back then, I think I was just desperate, and so I remember asking for help. Like, I just can't be like this. I can't live like this anymore. And then it was like as if, I don't know, I know it's internet, and it didn't have the same algorithm as it does now. But suddenly then I got introduced to different books around the mind-body connection, around how the mind can heal the body from David Hamilton. Also, there was a book, now it can be controversial because some people think it's a load of rubbish, but it was called The Secret. And some people think it's a load of rubbish, but for me, the power it gave me was that I was creating my own thoughts And so that meant I could take control over it. So because if I was creating my own reality, then that meant that actually I could actually shift and change the way that I feel. Now I know the science behind this.
Yeah.
Like the secret was a bit woo, but now I know actually that what we think we actually do create, because we have this perception of life. Everybody sees it, because if not, we would all be seeing reality in the same way. We'll experience different things. But also what happens is when we experience reality, we also experience that in our physiology. So hormonally, we have it. Chemically, we have it within our autonomic nervous system. So our nervous system can either go into overdrive or it can be relaxed. So when we are happy, it does something different to some. When we're absolutely stressed or when we're angry, they all have these different effects on not only how we see the world, how we view it, but actually the physiology within our system and how it can actually cause us to have this paralyzation, how it can cause us to have long-term disease. You know, like there's so much research now, especially on heart attacks, how stress can cause that. And so the stressor itself is very unique to individuals. You know, one thing that causes stress to one person can be nothing to someone else. So it's about you becoming the expert of you. That's what I needed to be. And I needed to know what my triggers were and how I could. And one of the things I found is the science of happiness and heart maths, and the fact that we are really lucky that emotions, and when we have emotions like happiness, gratitude, joy, all of these emotions create a different physiology, and it actually reduces stress within us, within the body. So that was the intro into my.
I have a question regarding that, because I mean everybody knows the secret now, and many people use it, you know, in their life, you know. But it has also to do with the gratitude, right? And if you are, what you're telling me now is happiness in different kind of positive words, right? And is it not true that they give you more happiness also if you connect with the happiness feelings and happiness, and then you get more of that, right?
Yeah. So happiness is.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So no. Happiness is really subjective. Do you know, like it's really quite kind of elusive, isn't it? We say happiness, but and one person's happiness is another person's nightmare. So like happiness is this overarching kind of description that I say about emotions, and it is positive emotions that we're looking for. Like in positive psychology, there's a lot of evidence now about there's certain things in our life that we can do that can make us happier. You know, before you'd be like, the brain was fixed and you would be fixed and you were just born like that. But now they know that actually at least 40% of what activities, how we are and what we live can contribute to us being happier. So that's much more in our control than just our circumstances or our DNA. You know, like we have control over that. And so there's certain things that we can do that contribute to us actually training ourselves to become happier. So, because what I realized as well through, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist in NLP, and we work on the subconscious, and we learn lots and lots around habits. And I kind of dived in hugely about habits. And what I kind of realized in a general way, we're all made up of thousands of habits a day, you know, like, and that's thought habits as well as emotional habits. We automatically, I'll say it like, mine was I was stupid all the time, you know, and so if you think about your thought has this feeling, emotion, and it has this connection, this triad to you. So if we have been automatically saying that I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm angry, it automatically has this physiological effect, this emotional effect, and it has this habit and rewiring in your system. But the good news, if you have gratitude, and there's lots of different things, but if you have even a simple gratitude, there's research saying that even for doing it for 7 days to 21 days, it can have a huge impact on the way that we look at the world and the way that we perceive ourselves has. And when we do that, that has a huge effect on our physiology as well within it. It reduces the stress within them.
And if you would say, because I know people say, okay, it has also to do with the questions you ask yourself, right? And then you get proof of it. Is that also one of the daily techniques that we can take to the viewers? But have you some other kind of tips that you would like to, some powerful technique that you can use every day that anybody can influence? Depending on their situation, many people live different lives, of course, and have different kind of definition of what is happiness, right?
Yeah.
But do you have some universal, powerful technique that you can share with the viewers?
So for me, what I realize is when we're in stress, or we have a very low ability to take on a lot of new habits, and especially in this day and age. So the way that I created it was I compounded my favourite things that were backed in science into a 7-minute routine. And even if you only do one of them, this is like where I've developed this daily hygiene habit for your mental and emotional health. Because really, a lot of the time we have these sticky plasters for things. So I work for the Anxiety UK charity, registered hypnotherapist. And so for a lot of the things that we do for anxiety can be in that moment, which is great. But actually for long-term change, we need to do something on a daily basis. And so the things that I developed, which is start your day in a positive way, is just these 7 morning routines. And the reason I say a morning, you can do it any time, and there can be tools at any time. But the reason I say morning is because that's when we're starting our day. And so we really want to then set that tone, ground ourselves into that. And so it takes you throughout the day. You can use them and bring them back as anchors, but really starting your day, you decide who's in charge rather than the automatic programs that have been perhaps running for the last, well, for me, it was like 30 odd years before, when I hit that breaking point. And the simple thing is not rocket science, and once you learn it, you've got it for life, is utilize your breath. So one of the steps is to use what we call a method of heart math. So it's coherence breathing, and it's breathing in for 5 and breathing out for 5. And then you can add in gratitude with that. And there's so much research on when we have this coherence between our heart and our head, it helps to regulate our nervous system, that reduces stress automatically, which then lowers like cortisol, and it increases more positive hormones within ourselves, like oxytocin, and if we're cuddling someone, we can do that. But these are all the ones that help us to reduce the inflammation and the stressors in our lives. So even just the breath itself can help us to do that, along with coherence. But the 7 steps that I teach in the 7-minute morning routine.
7 minutes is not much, no. Everybody
it's
can.
not, and that's kind of why I created it.
Yeah,
I created it because I couldn't really do anything else apart from these kind of minutes. So you take a minute and doing one on each, and each time you do it, you're embedding each one. So I can run them through you very quickly.
Absolutely. So, please share with the viewers.
Yeah.
And me.
So the first one is to set your intention, and we always start with the heart breath. So the heart breath is a heart math, which is just breathing in for 5, breathing out for 5, and imagining that you're breathing in through your heart, because as I said, this is you connecting in, and actually it connects in with the vagus nerve, which is helping you to relax your nervous system just by this coherence. And then you ask your intention, and your intention isn't like a goal. It's your intention, and how do you want to show up today? How do you want to show up? What is it, the energy you want to show? And it can come back to an anchor. So for me, for about 4 years, it was like a sense of calm, because I didn't have that. My nervous system was just always on the go, and the anxiety levels I'd got, and my brain was really fast. So my intention is to feel calm. So I drop in and I breathe just a couple of times to feel that calm. And then it's setting your intent, affirming that to yourself. So reminding the language that you want to say to yourself. What is it that I need to say to remind myself today that how I want to show up, how do I want to be? Then it's gratitude, then it's your breath, and then it's setting a goal, and a goal in a way that's self-care for yourself and visualizing yourself, and then it's moving your body. So it's not a lot, but research has shown that if you do these simple things, even if you just done gratitude, or even if you just did the reframing of the way that you changed your thoughts, they've all been shown that they can help to rewire yourself, your brain, into a more positive way of thinking. And that helps to reduce stress and also to help us to be happier, as they say.
Yeah, but stress and happiness goes hand in hand, right? So I think so also, because, but it has also to do with self-awareness and how you live your life, and reflecting on that, and if you have those steps to do every morning, then you perhaps get that time to be more self-aware also.
Yeah.
And
yes.
That also will help in the process to getting happier, I think, right? It should be like that, and having the habits on a daily basis.
It is that.
Happiness, right?
Yeah, it is that. And I think people underestimate like how challenging it is to take on new habits, So I think starting off with these simple things in your life, because I know when I was starting off, I found it very, very challenging to even change one aspect. As I've grown and I'm now a coach, and I'm so self-aware, and I can, I'm always checking in with myself and journaling. Like who I work with drugs and alcohol, I work with women, I work with all different people, children. They don't always have that. And if people are in high stress, the simplest thing can sometimes overwhelm them. So even just taking one thing out of that and doing it on a daily basis can really help.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's as you say, many studies have shown that. And also you reflect, you talk about positive psychology, and it has to do with the whole person and both external and internal environment. But if you can control your internal sphere, then of course it will help you also with the external environment, all the external challenges or life that you have, and that's really great. So thank you for sharing that. If we want to round it up here a little bit, I would like to ask you, can you just perhaps say where people can get in contact with you if they want to learn more about this 7 habits of happiness, right?
It is,
and reach out to you.
Yep. So you can get me the habits. Everything is the habits of happiness. So it's the habits of happiness .co.uk. And then on Facebook, you can get me under the same, or you can come over to my main page, which is just under Samantha Jane. On Instagram, it's the habits of happiness. And I do have a program. So I do have a journal, which is on Amazon, called Start Your Day in a Positive Way. I do have a free group, which is Happy You, Happy Life. And I also have a program which goes more into the science. And also I do have a one-to-one, which goes into working more with the subconscious. And if you have stress and anxiety and you need more, then I do have that too.
Amazing. You do a very important and great job, Samantha. I really admire you, and I think many people will have a lot of help with this, turn to your programs, because many people are burned out. Many people are living lives that are not theirs, and they are living with self-destruction, right? Many people have that just self-destruct them. So it will be really, everybody should look up to this, because I think it's great what you're doing, and go on with it. So thank you again for your wisdom and happiness tips and your positivity. And you are really a great person with that really know how to cultivate true happiness, and it's really inspiring. So thank you for being here on the show.
Thank you so much. And if there's one thing I want to leave your listeners with is, it may be simple, but please be kind and compassionate to yourself, because wherever you are in your journey in this life, and if you are feeling stressed, I can tell you being hard on yourself is only going to make it worse. So if one thing you can do is be kind and compassionate to yourself while you're going through this journey, that's my one piece of advice.
Thank you for sharing, Samantha. And to everybody who's listening, I hope her words encourage you to really take action here, because the habits shape your life, right? And who don't want to have a positive life? So it's really powerful. Yeah. Shifting your mindset, embracing new habits. So thank you for that. For you listening now, if this episode resonates with you, I encourage you to share with someone that needs to hear this as well. I think many do in this life, and as always, I thank you for being here, and keep on growing and healing and thriving together, right? So
yes.
Thank you again, and please subscribe if you want to listen to more of these episodes. And until next time, and take care of yourself, nurture the habits that brings you joy, and remember, true happiness starts from within. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, bye for now. Welcome back to Stress and Purpose in Life podcast. I'm your host, Stina, and today we're going to dive into a crucial and very important conversation as the intersection of technology and human development and sustainability. As biodiversity, also AI, and digitalization is something that is rapidly shaping our world right now, right? And we need to ensure that we also grow in the same direction. So to do that, we're going to explore an amazing inner development goals. I'm here joined by this brilliant Jacob Trollbeck, who is the visionary designer and communicator and the mindset behind the visual language of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and also now the inner development goals. So I'm so grateful to have you here on the show, Jacob. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here.
So you're literally the mind behind the UN SDGs and the Agenda 2030s language.
Yeah, right? That's right. It's funny because someone asked me a question about the origin of the goal 5 gender equality icon the other day, and I had to dive down because it's actually now 10 years since we did this. But we were very fortunate to be in a position where we got a request if we could help to take this it's sort of boring and academic framework and make it into something that everyone could understand and get engaged behind. So yeah.
And now all people all around the globe knows this Agenda 2030 and those goals, right? It's something that is really understood by many now, and it's amazing to talk to you, and you're the creator of this. So amazing to have you on the show, really.
Thank you. I always have to mention my partner, Christina Rygg-Dressley, who did a huge majority of all the design behind it, and it's very much her visual vision that's behind it. So it was not only me. We were basically we were 2 people working on it. So
yeah, of course. Then anyway, it was you as half of the people in in the show on this. So very, very nice to have you here. Can you start? Is there something that you want to start by introducing yourself more about for the audience? Because we know you for the sustainable development goals, right? But you have a very interesting background, I think. Also, can you explain how you came to become the person that you are, right? Based on this emphasis on sustainability.
Yeah, I'm from Sweden. I was very briefly, I can say that I had a record store and I was a DJ in Stockholm, and then we started a club, and I was starting to do flyers, invitations for the club, and decided that I wanted to be a designer and moved to New York and got a job at a company working with motion graphics, meaning we did a lot of film titles, we did graphics for TV commercials and things like that. And when I started my own company in 99, I was getting a little bit tired of all the noise in marketing and advertising in America. I guess in the world, but in America in particular. So I came up with this motto, which was discard everything that means nothing, and that became sort of the beginning of a journey to find the true meaning behind things. And with that philosophy behind our design, we became quickly very good at doing branding for a variety of clients, and we worked with a lot of clients, mostly all of the American TV networks like HBO and CBS and things like that, and then we did a job for the BBC, a pretty big job, and that led to a connection that just by happenstance, a man, Richard Curtis, came to my office and he wanted help with the project, and we hit it off very well. And then he said at the end of the meeting, if you're interested, I have a crazy idea, which is the UN are going to release these goals in a year, and I think they're going to fail if we can't make them popular in some way. And do you want to help with that? So that was like a fast forward through how I came to work with sustainability. And I think that also at that point in my life, we had worked with almost every client that I wanted. We had worked with Apple, which was a huge thing for me because I feel like my whole creative career I owe to the Macintosh, which was sort of my tool when I learned to design, and also that I was later when I started to write. So and I felt that I had sort of reached the top of, there were no more clients that I felt I wanted to, like I wasn't hungry for that, but to work with communication and make people find some kind of sense in very complex situations and find what's meaningful and what matters. That became the driving force, and for me. So I worked with that for a while, and then because I realized I had to work with companies because the NGOs that contacted me, they didn't have any money, and I had to pay salaries. So I decided that I had to work with companies, and that Stockholm was a better place for that than America. So that's when I started the new division, and so that agency is now, I think, 8 years old, and we are only working with different variations of social and environmental sustainability.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm interested, before we start with that, we talked a lot about biodiversity and the changing environment that we live in, right? And